much of the 3-game losing streak is Russell Wilson's fault here?
Well, Russell Wilson hadn't played well, Skip, and I know he's coming out that finger injury. Obviously, it's kind of hard to control the football, Skip, when your fingers are messed up. But I'm not so sure he was playing particularly well before that injury even happened. Russ is, look, his agent, Skip, this is not speculation where you put in words in my mouth. His agent released a list of teams that he would like to be traded to if he were to get traded.
Yep.
Russell signed off on that because the agent works at the behest of the player. I don't see a scenario where Russell's back there next year, Skip. I like DK Metcalf. I like Tyler Lockett. They have good receivers. Everett, the tight end from the Rams, Skip, he's decent. He's not a game breaker, but he doesn't need to be. They can't run the football. The offensive line, they've done a terrible job of putting a decent offensive line. And for the longest time, let Russ cook. Let Russ cook. Well, Russ might need some new pots and pans because the ones, they got too much burnt stuff on the bottom of them, and he can't cook anymore with this team. Russ is going to get up out of there, Skip. The handwriting is on the wall. He's talking. You will listen to him after the game, Skip. Does that sound like a guy that wants to be there? Does that sound like a guy that's happy in his current situation? A lot of Russ did not play well last night, with the exception of those 2 drives. But in between, Skip, Russ was awful. Russ was missing throws that he normally makes in his sleep. Jim, I got a few pieces of tape, a copy here, Skip. Okay. And I don't like to do this, but I just want you to see that this is not the Russ. Watch this, though, Skip. Skip, what is this? Skip, what is that?
That was going on all night long.
Yes! Look at this.
Missing it by 5 yards.
Look at this throw. Skip, now watch the tight end in the middle of the field of the logo. Skip, what is that? Russ! Russ, come on, Russ, you better than this. I mean, he already done made up his mind. I'm throwing this ball to DK Metcalf. I'm not going to read the field. Russ is better than this.
Okay, remember, at that point, he had no catches. So it's like, well, I guess I got to get him a target. I don't think he had a target until the 4th quarter.
I don't think they understand how to use DK Metcalf because DK Metcalf could be Brandon Marshall. He's bigger. He's as big as Brandon Marshall, but he's faster. And they found a way to get B. Marsh the ball. They can find a way to get DK Metcalf the football.
Yep.
But he didn't play well, Skip. The offensive line, Pete Carroll has done a terrible job of putting a line in front of him. Russ is at his best, Skip, when he can improv. Like the last 2-minute drive, Skip, you see how he run up in the pocket and throw the ball? When he can do that, but Skip, it's hard to win games consistently when you have to do that for the entirety of the game. Because for the longest time, there was no plays. Okay, Russ, 1, 2, 3, break. Russ run around, pirouette, retreats 5 yards, come ahead and throw the ball down the field.
Yep.
This is a bad situation. And unfortunately, Skip, I believe it's going to probably end a lot worse than what it is right now because I think it's going to get messy because Russ is going to want to exit. And I'm not so sure they're going to want him to leave. But he is 33.
He is. He turned 33 yesterday.
And Skip, last 3 games completed 56% of his passes, 205 yards per game.
Yep. He
has an average football team around him. And so this is where we are right now. But Russ has not played well this year. And I think it had to do with the offseason in that he was hoping that somebody would come get him and get him up out of Seattle. I don't believe Russ is happy in Seattle, and I don't believe he'll be there after this season.
Okay. I hear everything you just said. But the next question is somebody going to give him a lot of money? Is somebody going to want him? Is somebody going to give up a lot of draft picks to get him? Because if he keeps playing like this, everybody's going to sit back and say, wait a second, what happened to Russell Wilson? The guy who just a year ago going into the 2020 season, remember in the top 100 voted on by the players on NFL.com, he finished a close second to Lamar for the best quarterback.
Yes.
And there's a couple of years, if we go a year before that, I think he finished second to Mahomes. Well, he is a player favorite.
Yeah.
Players are in awe of him in part because of his escapability.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't see it last night the way I used to. He wasn't as lightning quick. I don't know if he's maybe he fell out of shape a little bit because he was gone. Maybe he rushed back because this was pretty serious surgery to his middle finger of his throwing hand. It tore, the tendon got torn. Okay? So is he not gripping it quite right? And yet, every once in a while, you'd see it come out smoothly and purely, and you'd see a good completion. If we could see the good Russ in that he went 96 yards in 10 plays to get it to the end, right? And the first throw was to DK. This is the first out, okay? And that's the first completion he had all night. That's 13 yards. And then,
but see, this is that Russ. You say step up in the
stepped up.
That's Russ.
Swain, and they just completely blew the coverage. And they let Swain get loose right in the middle of their zone. And nobody took him. And Russ found him, and just it came out of his hand pure, and it was a touchdown. Okay. Then we follow that up by a 2-point try in which he sees Swain, who is, for a moment, I'm talking about wide open, and then he just throws off target to him. You can especially see it from the rear view.
I thought Fuller made a heck of a play.
No, but look at this.
Because he fell off his skip.
He just missed him. He's sitting down in that big open spot, and then he throws it to the right. He threw it more to Fuller than he threw it to Swain. To me, it was just an off-target throw. It's way off target, and it gets picked. Well, it's not the Russ that we came to know and love and fear, because I don't know if it's his finger or he's lost some confidence or he's starting to age a little bit.
I think he might be giving that finger to the Seahawks.
Maybe.
That's what he doing with that finger, Skip.
Okay, so has he lost heart?
Skip,
is he just not into it?
Skip, I'm listening at him talk after the game. I don't see the same desire and passion about being in Seattle and talking about the 12th man and talking about we can turn this thing around that we're used to hearing from Russ. Skip, why on earth would you there are 4 teams that I would accept the trade to if you're not thinking about leaving? What other quarterback you've ever heard that? Tom Brady never put out feelers. Peyton Manning, none of the greats have ever put out feelers talking about wanting to go unless what, Skip? They wanted to leave. So that's what I did. I'm like, hold on. Is Russ? Because I hadn't heard anything about Russ being unhappy. That was the first mention, the first notion that I heard, that he had been unhappy. Well, I heard some, Skip, but you hear things like, maybe the wife wants to be somewhere else because, she has a career also, being in Seattle. You hear things like that. Okay, maybe Vegas would be great because you can set up a residency. Think at one of these, one of the casinos, something like that, Skip. But you're like, I don't know, I don't want to. I can't go with that. I need to be some confirmation from a lot of other people. But Skip, this is starting to make sense now. This doesn't sound like a man that is content being in Seattle much longer than this season.
Okay. And to be fair, Seattle is now down to its 4th-string running back, and they totaled up 34 yards last night.
Skip, they had the ball for 18 minutes. I mean, first of all, what's Russ supposed to do with 18 minutes? They had the ball 41 minutes and 40 seconds. That's what the Washington football team possessed the football.
Hey, that's what old Tyler Taylor Heineke will do to you because he did it to Tom Brady. Remember, he had like an 11-minute drive to kill the clock and win.
Well, he almost had a 10-minute drive on this one. I thought they had to do it if they'd had a field goal kicker. They'd kick the field goal in the game.
That's the other thing. They didn't even have their kicker.
But 79 plays to 45, Skip. 79 plays to 45. 34 more plays. So basically, I just, like I said, when I look at this team, and we talked about it, Skip, this team was never going to be the same after that day in Phoenix when Beast Mode did not get that football.
It never was. That is correct. And it's possible that after 10 years together, Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson are finally just a little burned out on each other. Maybe they both need a change of scenery.
Well, I don't think Pete's going anywhere. I think Russ says, you know what? I'll be the bigger person. I'll move out of the family home. I'll let you have it, Pete.
Well, I wondered aloud on Twitter late last night if Pete Carroll just might have thrown his hat in the ring at either Oklahoma or Notre Dame. It wouldn't surprise me if he did.
Pete. Now, Peter pack up shop on you now. He packed up on USC for the right price. But, Skip, I mean, you hear that he's making the second most money as a head coach behind Coach Belichick. Somewhere in the roughly of $10, $11 million. College OU going to put that kind of money out there on the table. Y'all got that kind of bread?
They would.
Why didn't y'all get that Link? Link would have stayed if y'all gave him that.
He had his money.
Link said, I'm gone. But I just trying to figure out, can you answer me this? Why you get so upset if you glad he gone? Why you get so upset at Link?
We're going to talk about him in a few minutes. Why would we change the subject now when we're talking about Russell Wilson?
Pete ain't going back to college. Why would he go back to college when he's got total control?
Was he any good at college?
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah.
Well, you can make the case, Skip, before he got the Seattle job, he was a much better coach. Because I don't know if people remember, he was at the Jets, he was at the Patriots.
Do I?
And he was just, he's just a ho-hum coach.
Yeah, and then what happened?
He went back to college.
Because my friend Paul Hackett couldn't quite hack it at USC, and here we went.
He turned that around.
Yeah.
Because what he could do is what Lincoln Riley hopes to do. These 4- and 5-star recruits that are in California, keep them from going to Ohio State, keep them from going to Georgia and Alabama, keep them in-house, like the Reggie Bushes, like the Matt Leinart, because you do realize Bryce Young is from California.
Well,
C.J. Stroud,
they're from California, both of them. I got.
Now, you're probably not going to get both of them, Skip, but you need to keep one of them in house. You can't let both of them out. So that's the thing, Skip. And
Does Pete Carroll have a big personality?
Oh,
the biggest.
I've been around him, Skip. Pete Carroll gonna put on shoulder pads. He gonna put on cleats. He gonna run down on the kickoff team. He one of the guys. He's a very player friendly coach. In college, guys love. I'm sure they love that in the NFL. So he has that type of personality, Skip. But I just don't see him going back to college when he has an NFL job and he has total control that's paying him $10, $11, $12 million a year. I don't see that now. Somebody jump out the window and say, "Here, $15 million."
Once you fall out of the playoff race in early December, maybe somebody's going to ask him to leave. Maybe he's got to get out while the getting's good.
Well, they be talking to his agent. I think maybe a lot of these coaches have Jimmy Sexton or Neil Cordy. Some of these guys, they have those guys. No, they ain't talking to him, Pete. That was the agent for. That's the mouthpiece. Hey, what do you think about Pete? You think Pete would be interested? Well, how interested you want him to be? I'm interested, but how?
I think he's also the oldest coach of the NFL right now, Pete Carroll. So the idea of...
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.